Hello and welcome to another episode of Scavenger Life. This is episode number 323 at scavengerlife.com.
Can I tell you about my sleeping patterns, Ryan?
Sure.
So I found that I think when I turned about 40.
So long ago.
I'm 44 now.
Yes.
Long time ago. I think it was really around 40, maybe my late 30s, when I started to not be able to sleep throughout the night, you know?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's weird.
I think up until that time, it was normal for me to sleep. I'd go to fall asleep, and the next thing is I wake up and it's morning time, you know? I think now it's like I almost every single night.
Almost every single night, really? There are nights where I sleep all the way through the night.
It's very rare where I don't wake up, got to go to the bathroom, or just, I wake up.
Something wakes you up and you're up.
Yeah, it is not, normally it's just normal stuff like, oh, I'm awake, and then, I'm thinking about some things, and I read my phone a little bit, and then I fall asleep.
Right.
Maybe it's like they say with, now that we all have our phones attached to our hips, like...
Once you look at that phone, your brain is on.
That blue screen is messed up my sleeping patterns, because I definitely am one of those people that instead of reading a book, it's my phone. Till the moment you're falling asleep. Yeah, like I'm falling asleep.
I'm put that away because it's too bright. I can't. Jesus.
Anyway, and I've noticed, last night, I woke up in the middle of the night, 4 a.m. or something.
Yeah.
And I had a really weird feeling, and that feeling was calm, I was just thinking about our lives, and I'm like, oh, everything's great, because we've just finished this renovation.
It is.
And I notice now how much stress we've been under. We've talked about it a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think I always notice the stress kind of after it's gone.
Oh, I notice it. Very much right when it's happening.
I know you do.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why I wake up at 2 a.m. and can't get to sleep, is those things.
And I'm sure other people can probably relate to this, when you're running your own business. There's just always things to think about and sometimes be worried about, especially if you're trying to push it yourself to do something outside of your comfort zone.
Yes.
Especially people who are quitting their jobs and wanting to have an eBay business full time. I can only imagine. Yeah. Well, I don't have to imagine because we experienced too. But I can remember what that stress was like, and you're just thinking of about a million things about. And so that's what it's been for us this past year. It's always a big deal when we take on one of these projects. Buying another rental. Yeah. Doing a renovation that kind of gets out of hand a little bit, I want
to rephrase that. It gets more ambitious than you planned, because it's not out of hand; it's under control. It's just
right. It's just where our ambitions grow, and then and you're having to pump out sometimes $10,000 a month into this place.
Sometimes I wish we were just slumlords, and we were just whatevs. Just turn the electricity on and rent it.
Yeah.
And that's impossible for us to do. A lot of people do it, though.
Yeah. Well, it's just a different business model. But going back to the calmness. But then I really do, though, feel it's important to push ourselves. It's like this. I'm so glad we did it. We're even talking about this other project we want to do next year, This one isn't even over with,
You're talking about
it because it's exciting,
Yeah,
and
sure.
I think for any of us doing this, it's I don't know. I don't think would make me happy to just sell stuff on eBay, kind of like the stuff we always sell. I don't want to find anything new. I don't want to try anything new. Right. This pays my bills. I always have a couple $1,000s extra, and that's it. Again, that's definitely is a possibility, but I like that we can do all these different things,
I think, too, it's one of those things where it's it's good to challenge yourself. And then I talk to other people who have done renovations, and we just look at each other and we're like, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
I I am crazy. But there's a reason you do, when you get to the end, like today I was hanging curtains and hanging artwork. That is the end. Yep. Of course, we have like a punch list a page long that still has to get done, but that's like this week it's got to be done. But so it's satisfying to be like, this is what I wanted. Here it is. Look, here it is. Like my friend came over to help me hang curtains, which was a godsend. I was like, I love you. You're the best person on earth. And she freaked out when she came in the house. She's also doing a big renovation, and she's like, oh my God, it looks so good. And it's like, we're so removed. We know it looks good, and we're like, it's perfect, it's great, But nice to have someone else have that reaction.
It's nice to get that affirmation.
I'm like, oh, yes, it is cool. You're right. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I will say that, doing these other projects, I really, eBay is one of those things that has really been a rock. Mm-hmm. If I think about it, it is just so incredible how we've created this eBay business. I mean, it's not just us. Any of us can do it. That
the possibility exists.
That you can have this eBay business where really it doesn't cost a lot of money. I mean, eBay is the smallest expense that we have. The amount of money we spend on inventory, right. The cost of doing the business. Right. I mean,
it's very low.
It's the smallest expense we have, but yet it makes us the most amount of money.
Yes.
I mean, it takes time. That's going to be for us the biggest thing. It's the biggest suck of our time.
Yeah.
But, just as far as cost, and it's really the thing that has been able to fund these other things that we do.
Yeah.
I just want to go back though. It's important for me to recognize when the stress of doing these projects disappears for at least a short amount of time.
Well,
it's nice.
It's that feeling of like the reason you did it was to rent it and have it done and take photos. Like we have a photographer scheduled. That is like the hard deadline, like line in the sand.
To take photos of the place so we can put it on Airbnb.
Right. So when you're like, that's about to happen and I see it in the future, like I'm grasping at it, I'm like, it's there. And then and then you're like, and the purpose of it to rent it and make money is right there. Right. It's there.
Because sometimes it feels like it's something you will just always be spending money on. So I forget that.
And it's funny, like, you remember that movie in the 80s called Money Pit?
Yep.
That's always in the back of my mind where I'm like, is that us? But it's not. Yeah. So, and there are some people like that out there in the world, and I don't want to be those people. I want to be like, and complete business happening. Like it's going. So
yeah. It's good.
But yeah, I love those nights where I sleep through the whole night. I go to bed at like 10 and I wake up at 6 and I'm like,
well,
yes.
I also, for me, when I meet people, I like to ask people
Lots of questions.
I love to learn about people and about what they've done. I mean, mainly because it's like a free education. Like if someone's willing to talk to you about who they are and what they've done, I can learn a lot about all kinds of things. Especially, people that have more experience, older people.
And have done lots of cool things.
I'll meet older people and, I'm like, so what'd you do and what's going on? And they tell me all these things and they tell me all these things that they have. And it's not, obviously, a life isn't just about wealth, but all these accomplishments that they've had. And I think, how do they do that? And then I'm like, this is how it happens.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to do something, they put a lot of time into it, and money, and they do it. And then they have these things. And then, they get older, and then there are these people that I talk to, and you're like, how do they do that?
Yeah.
Just like this.
Right.
No,
there are, yes.
So one day I'll be one of those old guys, and some young whippersnapper comes up to me, and I'm like,
how'd you do it?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, my money is gone. Yeah. Yes. That's good. I'm glad you woke up, and you were like, I feel good. I'm going back to sleep now. I'll read my phone for an hour. But
seriously.
Yeah.
And did you feel good about our life?
I feel great.
Good.
I can't wait to get all the construction stuff out of the house. Like, I was over there today, and I was like, I just want to vacuum one last time. I mean, obviously, it gets vacuumed every time someone rents, but it's like, I just want to make it pretty and clean and perfect.
All the construction equipment is getting into a smaller and smaller area.
And then, like, I'm just like, I want to organize and make it pretty.
Okay, I just wanted to mention a random thing before we talk about our eBay business here. On the last podcast, we kind of reached out to anyone who was in like the South Carolina area about the full eclipse, which is happening basically in about a week on August 21st.
Yep.
And I just first want to thank everyone who wrote to us and offered us a place.
We got so many nice responses.
There were a good handful of people that were actually farther than we could travel. So Tennessee,
Missouri.
Yeah, and even farther than that. And so we were kind of trying to do a quick trip. So South Carolina was our thing. And then we had a good handful of people from even South Carolina.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, we have a lot of people in SC.
And some people weren't exactly in the 100% path. And really it's like,
Jay,
you gotta be.
Look,
it's all or nothing, baby.
I am like, I don't know anything about this. I'm completely ignorant. I'm like, what's going on? And Jay's like, Ryan, 100% totality or nothing. I'm like, okay.
But we appreciate those people who offered us too, and so we found it's a woman that offered us a place, and that's going to work out for us. So we're going to be down in South Carolina for the Eclipse.
Fellow Scavengers.
I do think it's funny on the its forums, we were kind of talking about it, and some people were like, "Yeah, you could just rent on the beach." I could be wrong, but from what I read on the internet and kind of the buzz I see is like, I don't think some people realize what a big deal this is going to be. Where,
like me,
right? Where I'm pretty sure things like down in South Carolina and
like down on the
in
coast.
That area, but even like up through it's Missouri to Oregon, I think that. Like highways and stuff are going to be parking lots during that time because everyone's going to be driving into the 100% path, and they're just going to park. And if there are hotels to rent, they've already been rented.
Look, I looked on Airbnb in that section. I was like, oh yeah, let's just whatever, $1,000 a night.
Right.
Like people are just like, no,
and good for them. I mean, people are renting out their lawns. So if you want to go. Make plans like it now.
Like this moment.
If you haven't already. I think the idea of just kind of like casually hopping in your car and driving
down the highway.
I don't know. It might work.
Depends
I just
on where
think
you are.
It might not. So, or at least there might be a lot of chaos going on. That's all.
Jay is convinced that this event
it will be life-changing.
Will change your life.
Change your life.
I don't know how. I will report
if
on
you read
August
people
22nd.
who have been to a full eclipse, they always say the first thing they did was they figure out when the next one is, and they make a trip to go there. You know?
That's some fancy stuff.
That's right.
That's amazing. I'm excited. I'm super excited, actually.
Yeah.
I think, like, I can't remember last time we went on like a little road trip. Like most of our trips are like Craigslist trips, which are like not always super fun. So I'm like, oh, this is like a cool thing to do.
Pure experience.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay, let's talk about our eBay business this week. We had a pretty decent week. It was actually, I don't want to say it was slower this week, but we sold a lot of lower dollar items.
Mm-hmm.
We sold 50 something items, and really we sold, most of those were under $25.
Yeah.
We sold only one item that was over at $75.
Like,
so it becomes kind of a grind. I'm glad to have it, but
and some of those items that are lower priced are ones that we have repriced to be like, get this out. Like I sold this necklace, and Jay was like, that necklace sold for $5. I'm like,
we don't list anything for $5. Yeah.
Well, it was just like, dude, yeah, I know, I hear you.
So I feel like we sold a good number of items. Just as this week we happened to sell a lot of lower dollar items, so our overall
and you know
amount
what?
wasn't
I'm so
quite as
happy
much.
to see that stuff get out of my storage.
Yeah, it's all got to sell.
Go
It's
out
all
into the
gotta
world.
sell.
$5 necklace.
And Ryan, you and I were talking about its closing time for its returns, or the amount of time when we can it's close those.
Yes.
Has it changed,
No,
or
it
were we
hasn't-
just confused?
It hasn't changed. And I
Okay.
think that the reason why some people might be like, this seems like so long. You can close a case if someone hasn't shipped back an item in 6 business days.
Right.
It's the moment the call center opens on the 6th business day, you can close it.
Right. So I guess where people and we can get it confuses, it's business days.
So if you accept something on a Friday, accept the return on Friday, it's 5 business days.
Right.
Saturday and Sunday don't count.
So it's so they close it on a Friday, or they open a case on a Friday. So then it's Monday, Tuesday,
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday,
and
you
then
can
the Monday.
close it.
So it's actually like whatever,
So you're looking
9
at it and you're
days.
like, this is forever,
Right.
and that's why.
And just to be clear, too, the buyer has 30 business days to actually return the item. So
If you don't close it.
right, before it automatically gets closed.
Right.
So if you don't do anything, they have that whole time.
Right.
I don't know why eBay has this thing where you
you
can
can
call
close it.
and manually close it. I don't understand it.
It's weird because on Amazon you have 45 business days, which is like a freaking eternity
Right.
to return something, right? Which for customers, they love it. It's great. But at no time can you call Amazon and be like, this person.
How did you
didn't return
find that out, or how did we find that out about it manually closing cases?
I feel like it says it somewhere where it's like, oh, you know what it is? We've asked this person to ship this back by this date.
Right.
And I was like, well, what happens after that? And I think I called and they're like, oh, we'll just close it because they never shipped it back. And you're
Right.
like, but they have 30 days. Like, it doesn't make, it's weird. I love it because I'm like, they're not shipping it back. I'm closing it. But
Yep.
it also seems very, like, contradictory to the rules.
Yeah.
So what is it?
And to me, what's interesting is that I don't know if we've ever had a case where someone opened up its return, they didn't ship it back, it's within 6 business days, we manually closed it, and then they complain. Like, people were like, I thought I had 30 days.
Yeah, no, I've never had a complaint.
never had that. Because I really feel like if someone doesn't return it, so 6 business days is over a week. I mean, it's
Right.
almost 2 weeks,
Right,
really.
right.
Really, if by that time, I don't think most people are going to return it anyway, just because they've
taken that much time.
decided it's not worth it.
Yeah.
They've gotten on to other things. So it's just
Yeah,
interesting.
it is. It's weird.
Because I don't know what would happen if you manually it's closed and then people are like, wait, I still want to return this. Like
That's what I don't. Well, the thing is, eBay sent, because I've returned stuff on eBay for various reasons myself, and they say, please, print the label by this date. Like they say it.
Right.
They're like, please, start the return before this date. I don't know.
Yep, I don't know. It's just
Is it because they have 30 days to open a return case? Is that what the number is, or is it? Yeah, I don't know. It's so weird. I don't know. I think it's
I one time tried reaching out to eBay. I guess it was been 4
Few
months now,
yeah.
where I tried to reach out to eBay,
Press or whatever.
press, to see if someone would
Nope.
come on and talk to me, because I have so many questions. I would love to ask
doesn't
someone
even
out.
know that we exist. They don't care.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't matter, but it would be so interesting to actually, it is to talk to somebody that could give you straight answers where but I kind of feel though that even if you talk to an eBay employee, the answers would be different depending on who would you talk to, because again, eBay is just this giant kind of corporation that's been around. It's one of the original companies, like big internet companies that's still around, since the late mid 90s. And just as I've said it's before, it's like this company that's been built on top, one layer on top of the other, and so sometimes the communication isn't always the best.
Yeah.
Okay, I will remind people it's the middle of August.
Yeah.
It's summertime.
It's the end of summer.
But what it really is getting ready for holiday season. We always are into bulking up our inventory mode. We don't really get out of that mode. But if you're a slacker or if you're new to eBay or, if you need a reason to list, now's the time to put it into overdrive. I mean,
Do it.
Because really, so it's August 15th or so, starting October 1st, so it's really a month and a half.
Yeah.
Is when sales really start to pick up.
Yeah.
Because that's when people start thinking about Christmas, any kind of holiday season.
Yeah.
And, obviously there are some people who sell online that are really focusing on actual Christmas stuff. Toys and gifts and that kind of things that people actually buy. But we find that really most everything starts to sell just because people are in the buying mood. I mean,
we sell
tools
the most random
and
stuff,
glassware, and just it's whatever you can list. So it's not about we start thinking about what strategically should we list.
We probably have 5 or 10 Christmas things in our store.
We just start to list anything and everything. And so now's the time to do it because, if you're in the middle of a season, it's not that it's too late to put that stuff up, but why not do it now?
Yeah, do it.
Yeah. So that's my little pitch. Let's do our numbers. So this week we sold 56 items. We made about $1,600.
That's all right.
I know. 56 items is 9 items a day.
Average price sold $29. That's still not bad.
Definitely not bad. Yeah.
It's not bad.
But we had a lot of items under
little
$25.
Baby items.
In our second store, now this is a good example of why it was slow for us. We sold 4 items for $95.
4 items.
Yeah. So we normally we're selling $200 to $300 to $400 in that store. So
that was
it is what it is. But that's also kind of our experimental store, our don't touch it store.
If I have a random thing here and there that I need to put online, I will list it over there. But
it's kind of just our.
I don't really touch it.
I don't know. It's what it is. It's just our test store. Just right there.
At
just
this
sitting
point,
there.
people are like, "Why do you have a second store?" And we're like, "I don't know."
It's just we made it one time just because we did, and it's just too much work to try and get rid of it.
Transfer stuff.
Yeah. It's fine. It still makes us more money than we spend on it. It doesn't take any of our time.
Savings account.
Yeah, it is like a little savings account. All right. What was our scavenge of the week?
We actually scavenged this week.
We did scavenge just a little bit.
But we did.
And you actually had a doctor's appointment that I took you to, and we stopped at the thrift store before we went.
That was nearby, and it was so fun. It was so funny because we were we have 10 minutes. That's it.
In and out.
And I was I'm finding all this great stuff. I found all this great little housewares.
At a Salvation Army.
Random Salvation Army, right?
And as we all know, these Salvation Armies will be so different because they're just all run by different kind of regions and groups.
Right. So the dude who runs this place, he's a straight up he's my age. I think he's exactly my age. He's old school punk rocker, country punk rocker,
socialist.
Total atheist, socialist. People will be saying stuff to him, and he's I don't believe in God. I'm okay, awesome.
Even though he works for Salvation Army, where they're the soldiers of God or whatever.
So what's funny is I mention it because his prices are great. He's the manager, so I'm he's pricing this stuff, and his prices are great.
Yep.
Never am I this Salvation Army's crazy.
They have the glass cases.
Yes.
Where they have individually priced items. And, again, those things always, it reflect the personality of its manager. So it's for him, it's all the video games. And they're super high priced. And I'm I don't want any of that stuff. I want the box of hymnals that you have for 50 cents each. I love hymnals. I
can't get enough hymnals.
Yeah. And when I say hymnals, I don't know, it may be it's new hymnals will do well too, but it's the older vintage hymnals from the 50s.
Yeah.
Baptist and it's Methodist and it's Lutheran. I don't care.
It doesn't matter.
And someone on the forums told me a reason why, especially like certain
songs
denominations.
ones,
certain denominations did this thing where there was a certain time period where they switched hymnals, so people want the old ones. It's great. So anytime I find a hymnal, they are always cheap.
Yeah.
It's 50 cents or under, and I can sell them for $15.
Yeah, we sell them for about $15.
So if I can buy a box of 30 of them, I mean,
And the great thing
do
is,
the math.
Well, a lot of times it's quantity.
Right.
So there's like 10 of the same one.
Exactly.
And you're like, that's
and it's
easy.
like
It's so easy.
some church, whatever, goes out of business.
Yeah.
I guess churches actually do go out of business.
Or like you said, they get new ones.
Right.
So they're like, these are the old ones.
Right.
And everyone's like, we want the old ones. And so like people in Arkansas, and actually it's really funny because a lot of people down south, it's like Arkansas, Mississippi, like I always ship them down there.
They got the faith.
A ton of people in Maryland.
Really?
It's so funny. Like I've shipped a bunch to Maryland, which is like right around the corner.
Yep.
So
I love keeping people singing. All right, things we sold this week.
What do we sell?
We'll mainly just kind of talk about one thing. Again, a lot of stuff was just super random. It's nothing to brag about. But we sold a week ago a vintage light.
Okay. I want to tell the story.
Sure, go for it.
Gas station light. We were super excited. We sold it for $170. And as I was saying, I'm so glad it's out of my storage. The thing's huge. It's 18 inches by 18 inches. It's massive. And the awesome thing was, the second she got that in the mail, it got delivered, she bought the second one. So clearly, she was like, I love it. I want the second one. She bought the second one full price, another $170.
Right. So if you think about it, I mean, it's a perfect, like, our way of a selling. It's a perfect example. We bought them a couple of years ago. We spent $10 each, so we spent $20 total.
Yep.
We sold them for a total of $340. So great profit. Just took a long time. And that's our business model, And so we don't bank on when we forked over those $20 to buy those two lights at that flea market. I didn't be like, I need to sell this next week or else we don't have gas in the car. I'm like, we'll list these. They're cool. We'll stick them in the corner of a shed and
That's exactly what I did.
2 years later, we're going to make, a total of $340. So,
and it went to the right person.
Yep.
I hope.
And then another time we'll buy this, and then it just all accumulates.
And it sells every day.
That's a business model.
Yeah.
Okay, customer issues. I don't know if other people have had this issue, but I don't know why they would. But we had 2 people buy items, then immediately cancel.
They were best offers.
Right. And it happens every so often where they come in waves where, someone will give us an offer, we accept it immediately, and the people write back almost immediately, oh, I don't want it.
Yeah, and you're like what the heck?
Yeah.
Especially the worst is when you take a super low offer because you're like, cool, I just want to sell this jacket in the middle of the summer. And they're like, oh, no, I don't want it. And you're like, ah.
Yep.
You stink. Okay, so here's another wackadoodle. This lady bought this purse.
I think she was a nice lady.
Fine. Okay, you can decide after the story. People, she bought a purse. Little purse, whatever. This is on our second story.
Oh, that lady. Okay.
So this is they're two different ladies here. We're going to talk about. Purse lady buys the purse. Mail it. Is a $12 purse. Sends it back. I want to return this.
Fine.
I give her money back. She has these long stories about why she wants to return it. Fine, whatever. Refund. A month later, she buys it again. And immediately says, I want to cancel it. Right? This is while I'm at my doctor's appointment, so I haven't been able to over the 20 minutes I'm in the doctor's appointment, back and forth messages just between herself. I want to cancel this. No, I want to keep it. No, I want to cancel it. No, I want to keep it. 4 or 5 messages.
Right. And so it ended on, I want to keep it. I mailed it, so we'll see what happens,
So I was like, I'm ignoring all of that. I'm shipping it. Yeah. She wants to return it again.
Right.
Oh, and then, of course, Jay was like, why didn't you block this lady last time? Completely forgot.
Yeah.
Didn't block her. I blocked her this time.
Yeah.
So if she wants to buy it a third time, she can't.
Okay, I'm going to tell this story so it's less drama here. Okay, so we had a woman buy a rug from us a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Again, one of these is a woman that has a long story about how it's her birthday and she's buying it for herself, and she was a travel agent or something, and she's excited about her life. Anyway, she buys a rug, fine. She gets it, she loves it. The problem is, she says she's allergic to it. We're like, all right, return it. So she returns it to us. Then she messages us and says, wait a second, I actually want that rug back. I'm really sorry. I've been thinking about it. I want the rug. I'll get it dry cleaned. I mean...
No, I didn't close the return case yet because it came yesterday and I was like...
And so we just said, okay, send us the money to ship it back. She sent us $14 or whatever. 14 bucks. And we are going to mail it back to her again. I mean, to me, I'm like, all right.
I'll keep that money.
I don't care. I mean, like, I'm glad you want it, but it's just so... I'm sure we've all had this where you're just dealing with people who just have a hard time making a decision. I don't know. And that's why I always tell people on the forums, because people will write, I got this buyer driving me crazy. I'm like, don't let it drive you crazy. Well, like, give them choices, how to make a choice, follow that.
I think the problem, like, for me with the purse thing is that it just started getting crazy where you're like, this person can't make up their mind in 15 minutes. Like, it's just like, it's just like the level of like...
Okay. No. Okay. Yeah. But why don't we take that as an example? Yes, I agree. She definitely seemed to have a real issue. But you as a seller have a choice.
Right.
You can just say, I'm canceling it.
And then block them.
I block you. Forget it. Yeah. I mean, and what, but to me, I'm like, I want to sell this thing.
Yeah,
let's just ship it.
Yeah, I want it out. Yeah.
And that's also, again, why we have a restocking fee because of that. Because, if she's going to return it again, it's just wasting her time, and she's got to pay us for our time. We're not a big enough a seller where we can afford to like be spending time shipping stuff and pulling it from inventory just to have someone change their mind because of
twice.
Without any reason other than just they change their mind. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, but that's why I'm always like, we don't get into long conversations. It's with them. When people send us a message and it's really long, and they're just itching to get into like a real back and forth.
Big conversation.
Nope.
Well, number one, I don't have time to do that. But the thing is, the rug lady, she wrote like a 3-paragraph thing about how she wanted it back. All I wrote back was, I'm totally glad to send this back. I just need you to repay for shipping, and I will send you an invoice.
Right.
Done. And she was like, okay.
Yeah. But see, to me, I didn't even remember that purse lady, and it just happened 4 days ago. Because I'm not going to even let her rent any amount of space in my head.
It's just, you know what, for me, it's more funny than anything. Yep. I'm just like, okay.
All right, things we learned in the forum. So we have this thing where we say our style is list it and forget it, Yep. We list items on our store, and we just don't really think about them again. We don't, I'm not watching them to see how many views we have or watchers, or I don't do test searches to see where I am in the ranking. I'm sure there's some people out there that are hearing this who are like, that's so
You're crazy.
How can you run a business like that? I don't know. It's what we do.
It works for us.
We do fine. It does not matter what we sell as long as things sell, and that seems to work for us.
Right.
So someone on the forum had a good word for the other way, and that is list it and attend it.
Yes.
Which is an interesting idea, and that's because there are people out there, and I'm sure some of you are like this, where especially it seems for people that sell a certain kind of thing, like they're really into like shirts or it's video games where they know the market very well, so they will list those items and they watch them and they try and see how many people are watching, and if their views aren't high enough, they'll like retinker it with the title. If things don't sell, it's within like a month they will take brand new pictures, or they'll reprice it or something, and so they're always
attending it.
They're always attending because the idea is, which is crazy to me, like, I don't want to have anything for more than 90 days. Like, if it doesn't, sell is within 90 days, there must be something wrong with that item. Different way of
It's just a
selling
different
it.
way of doing it.
But I just like that term. Ours is elicit and forget it.
Yeah.
Theirs is elicit and attend to it.
I hear you,
Yep.
I
love slogans, Ryan.
Having a 6,000 item store sometimes can feel burdensome, but
Why?
I don't know, it's just a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But it doesn't,
But how does it burden you?
It just, you're like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe because I'm just comparing myself to people who just like are shipping out like 150 things a week, and I'm like, I want to do that, but that's just not how. That's just not how we do it. It's just different.
Yep. So we were talking recently about it's mystery, it's boxes that you can buy on eBay.
Right. This is a weird. Let's just update people. It's like junk drawer lots where people are like, it's a box of stuff, but I'm not going to tell you what it is.
Right. So if you go on eBay and just type in
mystery box,
there's like 15,000 of them.
It's crazy.
Amazing Taste came on the forum and said they aren't allowed to sell those, but I mean,
there's so many of them.
Obviously they can. And someone mentioned, it's probably like a laundering, like a way for people to illegally launder its money. And I happened to run across this article, and I'll put it on the podcast notes here, on the blog, where
that is so crazy.
There was like this guy who was sending money to ISIS, to the bad terrorist organization, where he would put up like phones, and someone else would put up a phone thing for like $1,000, and he would buy the phone,
and his money is in it.
And he wouldn't actually get any kind of phone. It was just a way to. And then in the comments of this blog post, they talk about how, that's probably true for a lot of things, but...
that is so interesting. I didn't even think of that. I don't have a criminal mind.
But, I mean, honestly, that could be true for anything. Really, And I guess people were talking about, like, that's a way people could buy drugs. It's like, I want to buy, like, an ounce of weed. Right. And so I go on someone's eBay account and I buy,
some stuff.
They have like an item that I buy for, $300. I don't know how much weed is, but, and then they send me the weed,
How much is an ounce of weed? People in Colorado.
Well, I guess now that it's legal in some states, you could probably see actually how much it would be. You could
probably just go online.
It's probably better than the weed I smoked back in college, where it's like actually good weed.
Actually, yeah.
Instead of like the shake that I would smoke.
It's like oregano, yeah.
No, it was just like...
I don't know drug terms.
Yeah, Ryan was not a...
I don't know
Ryan
that stuff.
Did not... It's so interesting. Ryan did not experiment with drugs, really, so...
I was a punk rocker to the core, but I was straight edge.
Straight edge, yep.
Yep.
And I don't do any drugs these days, so...
You're straight edge.
I am straight edge these days. It's just so much easier. My life is like renovating houses is my...
is my drug.
Is my crazy stress.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the last thing that was interesting, it kind of happened throughout the week. We were having this conversation about, and it basically comes under the header of how far do you go to it's right or wrong?
Mm-hmm.
If a buyer does something to you, that is, number one, offensive, illegal, like.
Against the eBay rules.
And this was the story. A buyer bought like an item, like a part to, I don't know, like a laundry thing.
Yes.
And they returned it for a refund, but they sent a different item.
Because of the serial number. That's how the seller knows.
That was broken. So basically this person...
Yeah, replaced it.
Yeah. And,
you can see what they did there.
And it was probably a couple $100 or something, and so...
It was for a fancy washer.
Yeah. So the person who sold the item was upset, as a should be. And, the problem is that it's really the seller's word versus a buyer's word. And it's just like, how should eBay deal with this? Because someone's obviously telling a a lie, but how do you know who it is?
Yeah.
You know, and it's so interesting. And as a seller, it's like, how much time do you put into fighting back?
It's tough.
You know,
That's so tough.
The thread was going on about, you call the police, you call the postal service to do mail fraud.
That's a little bit extreme.
I mean, what we do is we always report the buyer to eBay.
Of course.
Even if the case doesn't go in our favor, and you just alert eBay that this is a person that's doing something wrong, because you hope, and I don't know if it's true, it's just like this black hole that you send a message
There's
into,
a history there.
that if the buyer is doing this on a regular basis, that eBay will quickly see that
there's 5 of these complaints in a
history.
week. Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily help us, but it'll help its next person. But it's difficult in any system to protect others from bad actors,
right.
Whether that be a buyer or a seller, because we know them too. There are people that sell on eBay that are bad actors, who
sellers,
are trying to screw buyers, and scammy people will always scam. And I don't know the right. I mean, there's no perfect way to protect people from those scammers. I just think for us as people that sell on eBay, what we try and do is we fight for our rights. We take it as far as we can. It just can't become an obsession.
Like, you just have to do what you can and then not let it take over your life.
I say, in the early days of eBay, I would lose sleep at night over buyers, and interactions I had, and the long messages I was getting into people,
wars.
and and I just soon realized it's not worth any of my time to do this. And that's why, again, when you go on the eBay, its forums, the official ones, I mean, you just see these people that sell on eBay that they had a bad interaction in 2006, and it's still stuck in their craw, and then this is especially bad when you as a seller have a bad experience, and then you start to paint every buyer with the same
they're scamming me
brush. You just assume everyone's out to get me, or that's just not the way to do it.
Because the other thing too is you hope that the system works in your favor, and it doesn't always, but in my experience, a majority of the time, it does.
Right. So if you're into righting a wrong, that's cool. As long as it's fun and you're, it's a fun investigation.
It's fun
or something. As long as it doesn't become an obsession, I think that's where the line is.
Yeah.
All right. Let's answer the questions that people called in about.
You can call our voicemail line, and the phone number is 540-407-8486. You have 3 minutes to leave a message.
Hey, Jay and Ryan. This is Jeanette from New Jersey. Long-time listener to your podcast. Love it. I'm calling because I heard that you were looking for some calls from people who've been doing eBay for a while. I've been on eBay since 2002. One of those crazy people who has a full-time job and is a one-woman band for the eBay deal. So anyway, last night I had a shipping issue that had never occurred to me before. When pulling my items to ship out, I had a 2-piece pottery item that I realized had gotten shipped while it was in storage. So I thought, now what do I do? Do I not ship it out and get dinged and cancel the order? Or do I just ship it? So what I did was I packed it up because I needed to get it out the door today as I was leaving for work at 8 o'clock in the morning. So I packed it up, and then I took a picture of the chip, and I sent an email, a message to the buyer, and explained the situation and gave them the option to cancel, which luckily for me they did. They came back and they said, it's not going to work for me. Go ahead and cancel the order. So that worked out well for me because I was able to have a cancellation instead of an unable to ship cancellation. But it occurred to me that what would happen if that had been a one-piece item and it was just broken? I'm just wondering if you have any advice about that and what to do to avoid the dreaded cancellation because the seller can't ship. So anyway, sorry to be so long-winded, but again, thanks for everything you do. Love the podcast. Bye-bye.
Yes, I understand the predicament. And that is always the worst when you see something and you're like, I'm about to pack this. I'm on a shipping deadline. It has to go out right now. And something's wrong with it. And even if your person cancels, you've still gotten a ding on shipping because it took too long for them to cancel. I don't have a good answer for that because you're kind of just you're gonna get dinged either way because number one, you have to cancel it because it's broken or chipped or whatever, and that's also your fault, right? I mean, you have to cancel based on, the person's not asking you to cancel. You're saying you have to cancel and give a refund. So those are just situations that happen. Luckily, eBay has a buffer on top rated for defects like that.
Yeah,
so
people seem to really get kind of hung up on if anything is ever late at all, and we just have to remember, as long as you are normally shipping on time,
right?
If there's 1, 2, 3, depending on how much stuff you ship out, it's not a big deal.
But there's also a buffer for defects.
Right.
If you're
True.
this is broken and I have to cancel it, and I'm saying it's my fault.
Yep.
There's a buffer for that.
And
it stinks.
But, it's good to I mean, that's just the honest thing to do is to ask people ahead of time because, we've had times where we're like, oh, this thing has a crease in it that I didn't see. People are like, it's fine. Send it.
Or it's not fine and let's
or, or what we always do is we're like, there's a chip or there's a crease or there's a hole I didn't see. I'll give you, 15% back. And they're like, oh, that's great.
Yeah. Or I'll give you free shipping. And they're like, fine, great, no problem.
Yep.
Luckily, it doesn't happen very often. I honestly can't remember the last time that happened.
Or you could say, I'll blow you a kiss.
They're like, that's creepy.
They're like, I'm calling the police.
Yeah.
Hi, I hear you talking about having other sites besides eBay that you sell on. I just wondered how easy that is. Does they upload from eBay, or is there a program you got to use? And then is it worth it for the time-wise or not? So that was my easy question today. Thanks.
So the answer is, yeah. I mean, the big one that we are connected to is Bonanza.
Bonanza and Together.
At one time it was called Bonanza.
Bonanza. Yeah, look.
And,
yes.
And these are sites that are smart. I don't know why eBay allows this, but, you can go on these sites and basically download your entire eBay store. Pulls everything down, just copies it completely.
Syncs it almost live.
Yeah,
It's supposed to.
And it syncs it back and forth. Like with Bonanza, if something sells on that, it goes to eBay, pulls the item off of eBay. It's great. The problem is just I don't think a lot of people shop
Nobody
on this
shops
site.
on those.
I don't even mention it often, but it's this week we sold one thing on Bonanza.
But last week we didn't sell anything.
Right. And there's another site, Together. And they also do the same thing.
They're like online Craigslist.
Every so often.
I've sold 4 things on Together.
I don't know. I mean, maybe there are people who sell on these sites and they sell a lot of stuff. I'm just like, why do people even shop on those sites?
I have no idea. You know what I think it is? Because they
Google Shopping or
Google
something.
Shopping, Bonanza shows up on Google Shopping. That's why.
Right.
That's why.
Yeah. So if you're just talking about the sites where they, pull your eBay store and sync it, we haven't really found a lot of experience. I mean, a lot of luck with that.
Other people sell on Etsy.
Yep.
Etsy is a manual process.
Right. I mean, Etsy, Amazon, Shopify. I mean, these are all different kinds of sites, but it's almost like you're running. Well, sorry, it's not almost.
You are running.
You are running a separate store where you have to list your items in their own format and manage it separately. And those sites seem to actually have.
Yes. Shoppers. Etsy has shoppers.
People that shop there, and Amazon too.
The thing about Etsy, though, I will say this: titles are different, tags are different. their photos are a different aspect ratio. Like, it's a whole other thing. And people who sell on Etsy know what I'm talking about. It's a different beast than eBay.
And I've never understood about Etsy where people are like, you have to do a lot of talking or something? Like, you have to go
people
on...
they do convos. They do, like, conversations with you.
Okay.
But it's like, it reminds me...
I don't know what that means. Like, people will send you a message.
They'll just ping you a message and be like, tell me the story about this, or whatever. And on eBay, you're like, just buy it. Just shut up and buy it. Like, well, what's funny is my friend today, she like loves Etsy and whatever, and she was like, "Are you on Cherish?" And I was like, "I don't even know." I was like, "No, but I know." You know, it's like probably like Ruby Lane or whatever. And I was just like,
or Shopmart.
Poshmark. Poshmark is very social too. It's like a social media, social network.
Get Up.
I don't even know what any of these are. And so I just laughed because I was just like, I can only concentrate on one place.
Yeah,
like,
I think for us, and I'm sure there are stats somewhere on our store dashboard. I think most of the people that buy our stuff are shopping on eBay. Yeah. You know, they're people that shop on eBay. They do a search within eBay.
They're not finding it on Pinterest.
Our items pop up and they buy them, and that's good enough for us. You know, is this going to change in 10 years? Will eBay exist? Maybe not. I don't know. Yeah. We'll just pay attention. I mean, you know, eBay's been around for a while. It's still a big site. It's fine for us. You know?
Yeah. I would love to look, the two places I would love to, this is a very long answer. The two places I would love to look into when I have brain space to do it.
Tell me.
Is, well, number one, I would love to sell on Pinterest. They don't make it available to everyone. You have to have a Shopify store. It's so stupid. I hate it. I would love for you to just buy stuff right through Pinterest.
Right.
That'd be awesome. And so cool.
And we did actually try to open up a Shopify store, but it
was horrible.
It did not make it easy to import all of our eBay listings. It was
awful.
Okay, go.
Number two, Facebook.
Huh.
I would love to sell things in our area on Facebook, like furniture.
Yeah, maybe.
But I'm just like, I don't even know. So
I don't think people in our area would pay the prices that we want to.
Yeah, but we live near DC, so I'm like,
maybe.
I don't know. Anyway, so I would love for there to be other mediums, but for now, I love eBay. It makes the money.
Hello, this is Ted from Georgia, and I have a question for Scavenger Life. Have you ever found an item, maybe a piece of electronics or some sort of tool that you know had some value, but you didn't really know enough about the item to test it or to know if it was missing something, was broken, or if it would function as it was designed? Did you go ahead and take a chance and purchase that? And then how did that work out when you went to sell it? Or did you buy something and then later on find out that it wasn't quite what you thought it was, and the way you had advertised it, and the individual buyer returned it to you or asked for a refund? Over my 15 years of selling on eBay, I've had a couple of these occur, and each time I've had to make the refund, and joyfully did. So I was convinced that the other person knew more about the item than I did. But I'm wondering what your experience is. Thank you.
That's a great question.
Absolutely. I think especially in our earlier days of selling items, when we knew a lot less about things, we would buy things and just sell them and not really know it's what they are, especially things like electronics, turntables,
oh God.
You know, kind of older electronics that really can't even be tested.
Unless you're Stephen Schultz.
PA systems. Yeah. And we actually stopped buying and selling those things because of exactly what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Guys would get them and be like, you know, I'm trying to use it and it doesn't work. And
like you said it would.
And we would say, you know, we didn't test it, and you know, but the people would obviously be unhappy, and we'd either take a return or give them a money back. I don't think. See, now that we've sold more, you know, nowadays, we don't really sell anything that we don't know what the thing is.
Right.
So now that we've, you know, been on eBay for a while and we've had these experiences, we just don't really buy and sell anything that we either can't test or can't go online and find out enough about it.
Or you can sell things and say they're untested.
Yeah,
But you're not going to get a good price for it.
Yeah.
And
But I can't remember the last time we did that, though, because someone on the forum said they sell at video games, and they said, if someone says their video game is untested, it means it's broken. You know, like, that's like the sneaky, tricky way to get out of just selling broken stuff.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Because
you're lazy. You didn't test it with your game system.
You're like saying,
Yeah.
oh, I didn't say it worked. I just said it was untested. And so people
Yeah.
are selling broken stuff. So I don't think...
So that's not good at practice anyway.
Yeah.
Unless you're like, here's an old, vintage, blah, blah, blah. It's just for parts. You nerds out there that want the parts,
we will sell
that's
stuff
different.
where we say this is for staging.
Right.
We're selling... we sold a radio. It was like a really cool Art Deco radio.
Yes.
It looked gorgeous. It had all these parts in it.
It was like a tube.
It probably didn't work. I don't know. I mean, anyway, we said it does not work. This is for staging only because there are some items that just look good.
Yeah.
Anyway, I hope that helped. All right, that's the end of our podcast. You can check out our blog at scavengerlife.com for the links we talk about, and you can join the conversation on our forum. We always love talking to people throughout the week as things happen in our stores. You can call and leave a question or comment on our mail line, 54040 at 78486. And again, we're always looking for kind of, people that have been on eBay for a while to call up and tell us what's going on. Give us a comment on something. We post an episode every Monday. And on Wednesdays, we post a what sells video. And that shows what has been sold and how much it got sold for. And currently that video is being done by Steven Schultz.
And his doggies.
And his dogs. You can subscribe to us through iTunes and YouTube, so you always get the latest. We also have a vacation farmhouse, which we rent. And if you come and rent it, we'll have dinner with you, if you want. And we'll soon have a second one, too.
We're almost done.
And this one will be by a river.
Very close to a river.
Yeah.
River Outfitters.
With a beautiful view. So
yes.
If you're interested in coming to visit our area in the Shenandoah Valley, please do. You can find that link on our blog. We're ending this podcast in 3, 2, 1.